Now, the highly anticipated North West ANC elective conference kicks off today, but marred by controversy. A disgruntled party member has won an urgent court application to ban the interim provincial committee from voting. The conference has been postponed multiple times due to branch dispute. 5 candidates are vying for the chairperson position, including North West Premier Bushimape and his predecessor, Supra Mahumapelo. eNCA's Pule Letshwiti-Jones is covering this conference for us, and he joins us now. Pule, it certainly has not been one where it's all peace and harmony, right? It certainly has been a little bit of movement here when it comes to this conference in the Northwest province. But talk to us a little bit about where are we now and what are we anticipating for today?
Well, like you rightfully said, it has been marred by a lot of challenges, particularly with that recent court action which sees the partaking of the IPC being suspended for now, pending whatever move the ANC will be trying to take in terms of trying to overturn that court ruling that we saw being delivered by the Mahikeng High Court yesterday in the evening, in fact, just about 9:30 p.m. What we also understand now is that the credibility of the conference has been in question. But to unpack that for us and give us more analysis around this is the former YCL spokesperson, Tlozi, who joins us this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, it's sort of like, dramatic events that have unfolded in the past couple of hours. What does it necessarily mean for the conference, Tlozi?
Actually, the court outcome itself, greetings by the way, and greetings to your viewers. The court outcome itself declares a motion of no confidence on the conference. It actually declares it illegitimate, as much as the African National Congress is actually trying to downplay it. Number one, once you say that the IPC is illegitimate on the basis that it was given 9 months and it was not supposed to function beyond the 9 months, it means every decision that they took beyond the 9 months is actually questionable. It means the provincial dispute committee that was dealing with all disputes of branches and regions, beyond that 9 months, all those decisions are questionable and might be illegitimate, or perhaps are illegitimate because they were an illegitimate structure at the time. It means then, therefore, that many delegates and many branches which are here might be illegitimate themselves. It also means that the IRCs, because once you say that a particular structure, which is an upper structure, cannot function beyond the 9 months, it means also the IRCs are actually also illegitimate. And if you count or if you tally the number of IRC members and IPC members, you are speaking about, I think, maybe 100 delegates, which might be excluded here. If you bring disputes, by the way, the court outcome itself is as a result of 20 branches which has taken the ANC to court on the basis of disputes. If you count those 20 branches, you count IPC members, you count the chaos that is about to erupt here as a result of the court case, because it means many issues, many decisions that were taken by the IPC, including disputes from many branches here, are actually illegitimate. You might as well just say that the conference does not correct, it does not meet the 70% threshold. What you are likely to see in this conference, you are likely to see a chaotic situation in terms of credentials being discussed, because the credentials themselves are a direct product of IPC decisions. Branches, BGMs that said were presided over by the very same IRCs and IPC. What does it mean? It means those branches and those BGMs might have to rerun, right? The ANC is trying to downplay the situation, and in fact is trying to force the situation.
Sorry, before you get in there, because yesterday the spokesperson Pule Letshwiti-Jones said this only affects the IPC, not the conference in its entirety. What does this mean itself for the conference? I know you're saying it affects the branches, its credibility, but will it sit? Because the IPC still needs to deliver some of those reports and they need to be adopted or rejected. In the future for this conference, what does it mean?
It might sit, it might collapse because of branches. But what does it mean? Every Congress is run by what you call a steering committee. And currently, the court outcome itself declares a motion of no confidence on the IPC, meaning it has directly declared a motion of no confidence on the steering committee that is about to run Congress. But let's assume that the Congress goes through. The dynamics which are at play in this conference are also chaotic in nature, right? What might happen, by the way, in this conference, you are likely to see Supra Mahumapelo, who is actually the former provincial chairperson of the ANC in this province. And remember, he was disbanded after some chaos in the province, Revolutionary Council and so on. They were protesting and Supra was removed. The IPC came in. But there is no step aside that stands on the way of Supra Mahumapelo as compared to other contestants in this conference, and you know them, there are many. There is nothing that stops Supra Mahumapelo from contesting this conference. And if you analyze the dynamics, Supra Mahumapelo might emerge as the provincial chairperson in this conference.
So what does it say about what the spokesperson said yesterday, Pule, in terms of this only affecting the IPC? Because I know you were also of the view that there was a bit of sense of contradiction there.
Well, it's a contradiction. Pule comes out and says this is nothing but just a lesson because it only affects the IPC, but it does not only affect the IPC. The same IRCs, which are interim regional structures, were actually appointed by the IPC. And the court outcomes say the IPC cannot function beyond the 9 months that they were given. Meaning the IRCs themselves, because they are interim structures, cannot function beyond the 9 months that they were given. Therefore, the ANC cannot be rational and want to force the IRCs to participate in a conference, whereas they also exceeded their term of office, whereas the upper structure that appointed the very same IRCs is not participating on the basis of a court outcome which declares it illegitimate to participate on the basis of the same reason that they actually exceeded their term of office. So, as I'm saying, this conference might not sit, and the court case, as much as the court outcome, as much as the ANC is actually trying to downplay it, it was a direct motion of no confidence on the conference, on credentials, on proceedings of conference, on who is legitimate, who is illegitimate, right? And by the way, there are still many disputes which are on the table in terms of branch.
Yeah.
No, there are many. There are more than that. You had 20 branches who went to court yesterday. You have 12 branches who are actually about to protest outside here, who are from Dr. Rutsukumtsimu Mpati Bojanala, which is the side of Greater Taung and so on. So you are likely to have a Congress that is not going to sit, or you are likely to have a Congress that will sit and have a serious chaos of credentials, and the end product of this conference is likely to be a conference that's not sitting, or a Supra Mahumapelo that will emerge as provincial chairperson. And by the way, the other thing that we must discuss is the impact of this conference on the national politics. Because once the outcome that I'm telling you about actually takes place in this conference, it means you are likely to see the Northwest province actually coming with a candidate for the top 6 in the National Conference of the African National Congress, without a doubt.
Deputy President David Mabuza is expected to open the conference. What does it mean for the political dynamics in this province? Would you say that the president saw this coming as well?
I would say so. I mean, the president, if you remember with the KZN conference, the allegations that he had to be convinced, actually, to go and address the KZN conference. The president was actually addressing an imbizo in the Val yesterday, in Sidibeng, a presidential imbizo. Sure. And the expectation is that, as he has said, the president of addressing all provincial conferences, he was actually supposed to come here. It's quite surprising and shocking that the president will not be addressing, but rather Didi Mabuza would be coming to address. If you analyze factionalism within the African National Congress, you are actually starting to see the fact that Didi coming to open this conference actually is an affirmation of a certain candidate that will be contesting in this conference.
Rosie, thank you very much. That's the former YCL spokesperson national who was giving us that update regarding that court order that was given yesterday by the North West Mahikeng High Court. And furthermore, what we know is that just in about a couple of minutes from now, we'll be speaking to some of the applicants who actually filed that urgent court papers yesterday to try and see the suspension of the partaking of the IPC during this elective conference. You know, much will be seen as the day unfolds. Like this young man was saying, they were expecting a lot of chaos that will be erupting, and also some of those who are coming from different branches to be picketing outside the conference here. So it will be interesting to see how the day unfolds as this elective conference kicks in.